The massive space station called Harmony's Edge floated in the empty space between stars. It was built long ago by many different alien races working together. The station was huge, bigger than most cities on Earth. Its white and silver walls gleamed under the light of nearby stars. This was where important meetings happened when the galaxy had big problems to solve. Today was one of those days. Ships from all over the galaxy were arriving at the station. Each ship carried important people from different alien races. They came here because war might be coming to the galaxy and everyone was scared. The Crusade Empire was causing trouble. They were a race of tall, thin aliens with sharp teeth and 4 arms. Their skin was dark green and covered in hard scales. The Crusade loved war and fighting. They had been taking over planets that belonged to other alien races. The Thessian coalition was their main target. The Thessians were small, furry aliens who looked a bit like cats that walked on 2 legs. They were peaceful and good at finding valuable minerals and resources on planets. The Crusade wanted those resources for themselves. Captain Vex of the Crusade military stood on the bridge of his warship. He looked out at the diplomatic station through the large window. His yellow eyes were cold and mean. "How many ships do the other races have here?" he asked his second-in-command. "Very few, sir," the other Crusade replied. "The Thessians brought 3 small cruisers. The Galactic Council has 2 patrol ships. Most other races brought just 1 or 2 ships each. All small ones." Captain Vex made a sound like a laugh, but it was not a happy sound. "Good. They follow the old rules about peace talks. They think small numbers of ships show they want peace. How stupid." The Crusade had brought 50 warships to the meeting. They told everyone it was for protection, but really it was to scare the other races. The message was clear. We are strong, you are weak, so do what we say. Ambassador Zektar was the main Crusade representative. He was older than Captain Vex with more scars on his scales. Zektar had been in many wars and won most of them. He did not believe in peace talks. He only came here to tell the other races they had to surrender. "The plan is simple," Zektar told the other Crusade on the station. "We will pretend to talk about peace for a few days. Then we will make our demands. When they refuse, we will show them our real fleet positions. Every major Thessian world is already surrounded by our ships. They will have to surrender or watch their planets burn." The other alien races did not know about this plan. They really hoped the peace talks would work. They gathered in the main meeting room of the station. The room was huge, with a round table in the center big enough for 50 beings to sit around it. The Thessian representative was Counselor Yith. She was small even for a Thessian, with soft gray fur and big worried eyes. She kept looking at data on her tablet, trying to find some way to save her people. "Our outer colonies have already been cut off," she whispered to her aide. "No ships can get in or out. The Crusade fleet is everywhere. The Galactic Council sent their best diplomat, a tall alien with blue skin called Ambassador Caney. The Council was supposed to keep peace in the galaxy, but they had very few ships and almost no real power. They could make laws, but they could not make anyone follow those laws. Many other alien races sent representatives too. There were the Valkyrie, who looked like tall plants with many arms. The Nexari came too. They were small gray aliens with large heads and big black eyes. The Zephyrians were there as well, flying aliens with beautiful wings that changed colors. All of these races were worried. If the Crusade could take over the Thessians, who would be next? None of them had strong enough armies to fight the Crusade Empire. Then something unexpected happened. A small, simple shuttle requested permission to dock with the station. The shuttle was plain and gray with no weapons that anyone could see. It looked like a basic transport ship. "Who is that?" asked Ambassador Caney. The station's computer answered in its calm voice. "The ship is registered to the Terran Federation. 3 passengers aboard." Many of the aliens looked confused. "Terran?" asked Counselor Yith. "Who are the Terrans?" "I think they mean the humans," said one of the Valkyrie representatives. "That new race that joined the galactic community recently." Ambassador Zektar made a dismissive sound. "The humans? Why are they here?" "They have been part of our civilization for only 30 years. They know nothing about galactic politics." Most of the aliens agreed with this. Humans were new to space travel compared to other races. The Crusade had been exploring space for thousands of years. The Thessians had been in space for 2,000 years. Even the newest other races had been traveling between stars for hundreds of years. Humans had only developed faster than light travel 30 years ago. Before that, they were stuck on their one planet, fighting wars with each other. Most aliens thought humans were primitive and violent. They were not taken seriously in galactic politics. The human shuttle docked with the station. A few minutes later, 3 humans walked into the main meeting room. The leader was a tall man with short black hair and calm brown eyes. He wore a simple blue uniform with some small metal decorations on it. He walked with confidence, but not in a threatening way. "I am Admiral Chenwei of the Terran Federation," he said. His voice was steady and polite. "Thank you for allowing us to join these important talks." Behind him walked 2 other humans. One was a woman with red hair and green eyes. She wore a similar uniform and carried a small computer tablet. The other was a young man who looked around the room with interest as if he was seeing everything for the first time. "I am Commander Sarah Park," the woman said. "This is Lieutenant James Torres." Ambassador Zektar looked at the humans with annoyance. "Why are you here? This conflict does not involve your species." Admiral Chen sat down at the table. "We believe that peace is everyone's business. War anywhere in the galaxy affects everyone." Several aliens made sounds of agreement, but Zektar was not impressed. "You have been in space for 30 years. We have been building empires for 3,000 years. What could you possibly know about galactic politics?" "We know about war," Admiral Chen said quietly. "We have been fighting wars on our planet for 10,000 years. We learned many things about conflict and peace. This made some of the aliens uncomfortable. They had heard stories about human history. Humans had fought many terrible wars on their home planet before they developed space travel. Some alien races thought this made humans dangerous. Others thought it made them too violent to be civilized. Commander Park was listening to something in her ear. She nodded slightly and made a note on her tablet. Lieutenant Torres was looking out the large windows of the station at the stars beyond. "How many ships did your people bring?" asked Ambassador Caney, trying to be polite. "Enough," Admiral Chen replied. Ambassador Zektar laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "I checked the sensor logs. Your people brought 1 small shuttle. That is all. You have no military presence here at all." "We came here to talk about peace," Admiral Chen said. "Not to threaten anyone." "Good," said Zektar. "Because threats would be pointless. The Cravaxi Empire has the strongest military in the galaxy. We have 3,000 warships. No one can stand against us." Counselor Yith looked even more worried when she heard this number. 3,000 ships was more than all the other races combined. How could anyone fight against such a force? The peace talks officially began an hour later. Ambassador Caney explained the rules. Each side would present their position. Then they would try to find a solution that everyone could accept. Zektar spoke first for the Cravaxi. "The Thessian coalition has resources that the galaxy needs. They are not using these resources efficiently. The Cravaxi Empire can develop these resources properly and share them with everyone." This was a polite way of saying the Cravaxi wanted to steal everything the Thessians owned. Counselor Yith spoke for the Thessians. "We are a peaceful people. We have never attacked anyone. We only want to live in peace on our worlds and continue our work. We are willing to trade our resources fairly with all races." Other representatives spoke as well. Most of them supported the Thessians, but none of them offered to help fight the Cravaxi. When it was Admiral Chen's turn to speak, he stood up slowly. "The Terran Federation believes in the right of all races to live freely," he said. "We do not think any race has the right to conquer another race just because they are stronger." Zektar made an angry sound. Easy words from someone with no power to back them up. "What will you do if we decide to take what we want anyway?" Admiral Chen looked directly at the Cravaxi ambassador. "We will do what we must to protect innocent people." "With what army?" Zektar demanded. "You have no ships here. Your entire species probably has fewer ships than I brought to this meeting." Admiral Chen did not answer directly. Instead, he turned to Commander Park. "Commander, what is the status of our diplomatic mission?" Commander Park checked her tablet. "All diplomatic protocols are being followed, sir. We are in full compliance with galactic law." "Good," said Admiral Chen. "Please make sure our escorts know to maintain their current positions." "Escorts?" asked Ambassador Caney. "I thought you only brought 1 shuttle." Admiral Chen smiled slightly. "Every diplomatic mission needs proper security, Ambassador Caney. We just prefer to keep our security arrangements discreet." Zektar was getting angry. "Stop playing word games, human. You have no fleet. You have no power. Your species is weak and new to space. You should be grateful we allow you to sit at this table at all. Perhaps, said Admiral Chen, but we are here nonetheless. The first day of talks ended without any agreement. The Cravaxi made it clear they would take what they wanted with or without permission. The Thessians pleaded for help. The other races made sympathetic sounds but offered no real support. As everyone prepared to return to their ships for the night, Admiral Chen stood by the large windows looking out at space. Commander Park joined him. Sir, she said quietly, the fleet is in position. All ships report ready. Good, Admiral Chen replied. But let us hope we do not need them. Peace is always better than war. What if the Cravaxi refuse to negotiate fairly? Admiral Chen was quiet for a moment. Then they will learn that humanity takes its promises seriously. We promise to protect the Thessians. We keep our promises. Outside the station, space looked empty and peaceful. Stars twinkled in the distance. A few small ships moved slowly between the station and the nearby planets. But Admiral Chen knew something the other aliens did not know. Hidden in the shadow of the large gas giant at the edge of the solar system, 847 human warships waited in complete silence. They had been there for 3 days, invisible to all sensors, waiting for orders. The largest ship in the fleet was the dreadnought Indomitable Will. It was bigger than most space stations and carried enough weapons to destroy an entire planet. Around it waited hundreds of other ships, destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and carriers full of fighters. The human fleet had traveled here in secret, using technology the other races did not know about. They could hide their ships from sensors and move without being detected. This was something humans had learned during their many wars on Earth. Admiral Zhang commanded the fleet from the Indomitable Will. She was older than Admiral Chen, with gray hair and many scars from previous battles. She had fought in the last Great War on Earth before humans developed space travel. Status report, Admiral Zhang said to her officers. All ships are in position and ready, her second-in-command replied. We can reach the diplomatic station in 12 minutes if needed. Weapon status? All weapons are powered down but can be activated in 30 seconds. We have enough firepower to destroy every Cravaxi ship in this system. Admiral Zhang nodded. Good. But remember, we are here to prevent war, not start it. We only fight if there is no other choice. Back on the station, the different alien races were settling in for the night. Most of them expected the talks to fail. The Cravaxi were too strong and too aggressive. The Thessians would probably have to surrender, but none of them knew about the human fleet waiting in the darkness. Tomorrow would bring surprises that would change everything. The second day of peace talks began badly and got worse. Ambassador Zektar arrived at the meeting room in full military dress. His scaled armor gleamed under the station's lights and he wore a sword at his side. The message was clear. He was a warrior, not a diplomat. Today we will speak plainly, Zektar announced as he took his seat. No more polite words. No more pretending. The Cravaxi Empire will tell you exactly what we want. Counselor Yith clutched her data tablet with trembling paws. She had spent all night trying to contact her government, but no messages could get through the Cravaxi blockade. Her people were trapped and alone. Admiral Chen sat quietly, watching everything. Commander Park had her tablet ready and was receiving constant updates through her earpiece. Lieutenant Torres was taking notes on everything that was said. The Thessian coalition has resources the galaxy needs, Zektar continued. Rare minerals, energy crystals, and agricultural worlds. But they are weak. They cannot defend these resources or use them properly. We use them just fine, Counselor Yith said, her voice shaking slightly. We trade fairly with everyone. Our worlds are peaceful and productive. Zektar made a dismissive gesture with one of his 4 arms. Peaceful, yes, but productivity requires strength. The Cravaxi Empire can extract 10 times more resources from your worlds than you do. We can also protect them from pirates and raiders. Ambassador Caney of the Galactic Council looked uncomfortable. Ambassador Zektar, the Council has laws about territorial sovereignty. No empire can simply claim another race's worlds. Laws, Zektar repeated with contempt. What power do you have to enforce these laws? The Council has 12 patrol ships. We have 3,000 warships. Your laws are only words on paper. This was the problem everyone knew but nobody wanted to admit. The Galactic Council made rules, but they had no real military power. They depended on member races to follow the rules voluntarily. When a race decided to ignore the rules, the Council could do nothing. The Veil Theory representative, A tall, plant-like being named Root Singer Thymol spoke up. Perhaps we could arrange a compromise. The Thessians could increase their resource production and share more with the Krivaxi Empire. Zektar's yellow eyes focused on the Valthiri. And if we accept this compromise, who will enforce it? What happens when the Thessians decide to reduce production again? No, compromises are for equals. We are not equals. Admiral Chen finally spoke. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador Zektar? Simple, Zektar replied. The Thessian coalition will submit to Krivaxi authority. They will continue to live on their worlds, but under our protection and guidance. In return, we will not destroy their fleets or bombard their cities. The room fell silent. This was not negotiation. This was a demand for complete surrender. Counselor Yith stood up, her small body shaking with anger and fear. Never. We will not become slaves to your empire. Then you will die, Zektar said calmly. Your choice. Ambassador Caney tried to restore order. Please, everyone remain calm. There must be a peaceful solution to this conflict. Zektar turned to face the council representative. There is a peaceful solution. The Thessians surrender. Very peaceful. That is not peace, Admiral Chen said. That is conquest. The same thing, Zektar replied. Peace through strength. We offer order and protection. All we ask in return is obedience. Commander Park received another message in her earpiece. She made a note on her tablet and showed it to Admiral Chen. He read it and nodded slightly. The third day was even worse. Zektar brought military advisors to the meeting. They set up holographic displays showing star charts and fleet positions. The message was clear. This was no longer a diplomatic meeting. It was a military briefing. Let me show you the reality of your situation, Zektar said. He activated the first hologram. It showed the Thessian home system with 12 red dots surrounding it. 12 Krivaxi battle groups, he explained. 48 heavy cruisers, 96 destroyers, and over 300 fighter craft. All positioned around your capital world. Counselor Yith stared at the display in horror. That is impossible. We would have detected such a large fleet. Would you? Zektar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Our stealth technology is very advanced. We have been in position for 2 weeks. He activated another hologram. This one showed a different Thessian system, also surrounded by red dots. Your industrial center at Thessia Prime. Also surrounded. And here, another hologram appeared. Your agricultural worlds. And here, your mining colonies. Every important Thessian world is already under our control. The other alien representatives looked shocked. If the Krivaxi had moved so many ships without being detected, what did that say about galactic security? How many other worlds might already be surrounded without knowing it? This is an act of war, Ambassador Caney protested. No, Zektar corrected. This is prevention of war. If the Thessians surrender now, no one needs to die. If they resist, he gestured to the holograms. Well, you can see how that would end. Admiral Chen studied the fleet positions carefully. These are impressive deployments, he said. How long did it take to position so many ships? 6 months of planning, Zektar said proudly. We are very thorough. And your total fleet strength? 3,000 ships, Zektar replied. The largest military force ever assembled by any single species. We have been building this fleet for 50 years. Commander Park was listening to her earpiece again. She made several notes and showed them to Admiral Chen. His expression did not change, but he nodded. The Nexari representative, a small gray alien named Speaker Vex, asked a nervous question. What about the rest of us? Will the Krivaxi Empire stop with the Thessians? Zektar pretended to consider this. That depends. Will the rest of you cause problems? Will you try to interfere with Krivaxi expansion? Expansion? Rootsinger Thymol's plant-like fronds rustled with alarm. You plan to conquer more worlds? The galaxy is large, Zektar said. There are many resources. Many worlds that could be better managed. The Krivaxi Empire has the strength to bring order to chaos. Now the other aliens understood. The Thessians were just the beginning. Once the Krivaxi conquered them, they would move on to the next race, then the next. Eventually, every world in the galaxy would be under Krivaxi control. Ambassador Caney was sweating despite the cool air on the station. The Council cannot accept this. We will impose sanctions. Zektar laughed out loud. Sanctions? Trade restrictions? You will refuse to buy our products? He laughed again. We will own all the products. We will control all the trade routes. Your sanctions will only hurt yourselves. Counselor Yith was crying now, small tears running down her furry cheeks. There must be someone who will help us. Some race with the strength to stand against the Cravaxi. All eyes turned to the human delegation. Admiral Chen was the only representative of a race that might have significant military power. But everyone knew humans were new to space travel. How strong could their military be? Zektar noticed where everyone was looking. The humans? He made that unpleasant laughing sound again. What can they do? They have been in space for 30 years. 30 years. My grandfather was commanding starships when the humans were still fighting with metal weapons on their single planet. We have learned much in 30 years, Admiral Chen said calmly. Have you? How many ships does your Federation have? 100? 200? Admiral Chen did not answer directly. Enough. Enough for what? You cannot even properly patrol your own space. Earth intelligence reports say you have colony worlds that receive supply ships only once per year. You call that a space navy? This was true. Human space was large but thinly defended. Earth had many colonies, but the human fleet was spread across hundreds of light years. Most human ships were transports and cargo vessels, not warships. How many warships do you have here at this meeting? Zektar demanded. I will tell you. 0. You came in a diplomatic shuttle with no weapons and no escort. You have no power here. Lieutenant Torres looked up from his notes. Sir, should I answer that? Admiral Chen shook his head slightly. Not yet, Lieutenant. Zektar was enjoying himself now. You see? They have nothing. No ships, no weapons, no plan. The humans are as helpless as everyone else. The 4th day began with Zektar's ultimatum. The time for talk is over, he announced. The Thessian coalition has 1 day to surrender completely. If they refuse, we will begin destroying their cities. He activated a new hologram. This one showed a Thessian city with 2 million inhabitants. We will start with their capital. Then we will move to the industrial centers. Then the agricultural worlds. We will continue until they submit or until there are no Thessians left. Counselor Yith fell to her knees. Please, you cannot do this. Those are innocent people, families, children. Then surrender, Zektar said without emotion. Save your people. Submit to the Cravaxi Empire. The other alien representatives were silent. They knew they were watching the death of an entire civilization, but none of them could do anything to stop it. Admiral Chen stood up. Ambassador Zektar, I would like to make a proposal. Speak. Give the Thessians more time. A week to consider your offer. In return, the Terran Federation will guarantee their decision will be final. Zektar looked amused. Guarantee? What can you guarantee? You have no power here. We have the power to witness, Admiral Chen said. Human observers will verify that the Thessians make their choice freely, without coercion. And if they choose to resist? Then we will not interfere with your actions. This caused shocked murmurs around the room. Was Admiral Chen abandoning the Thessians? Counselor Yith stared at the human admiral in disbelief. You would let them destroy us? Admiral Chen met her eyes. I said we would not interfere. I did not say we would not act. Zektar was confused by this distinction. What is the difference? The difference, Admiral Chen said, is that interference suggests we recognize your authority to do what you threaten. We do not recognize that authority. Authority comes from strength, Zektar snarled. We have 3,000 ships. You have none. Commander Park looked up from her tablet. Sir, shall I show him? Admiral Chen considered for a moment. Not yet, Commander. Let us see if diplomacy can still work. But Zektar was done with diplomacy. No more delays. No more games. The Thessians have until tomorrow at sunset to surrender. If they refuse, we begin the bombardment. He stood up and gestured to his military advisors. This meeting is over. We will wait for your answer. As the Cravaxi delegation left the room, the remaining aliens sat in stunned silence. War was coming, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Admiral Chen remained seated, studying his hands. Commander Park and Lieutenant Torres flanked him, waiting for orders. Sir, Commander Park said quietly, the fleet is still in position. Admiral Zhang requests permission to reveal our presence. Not yet, Admiral Chen replied. Give them tonight to reconsider. Sometimes people make better decisions when they have time to think. Counselor Yith approached the human delegation. Admiral Chen, please. Is there really nothing your people can do? Will you truly watch my people die? Admiral Chen looked up at her with sad but determined eyes. Counselor Yeath, I made a promise to your government 3 months ago. The Terran Federation promised to protect the Thessian coalition. We keep our promises. But how? You heard what he said. 3,000 ships. How can you fight such a force? We cannot fight 3,000 ships, Admiral Chen agreed. But 3,000 ships spread across the entire galaxy is not the same as 3,000 ships in one place. He stood up and walked to the large windows overlooking space. Tomorrow, Ambassador Zektar will learn the difference between having power and knowing how to use it. Outside, the stars looked peaceful and calm. But Admiral Chen knew that in the shadow of the gas giant, 847 human warships were waiting for dawn. The 5th day arrived with the weight of death hanging over the peace talks. Ambassador Zektar entered the meeting room wearing full battle armor. His sword was now unsheathed and lying across the table in front of him. 6 Cravaxi military officers accompanied him, all armed and ready for war. Today we end this theater, Zektar announced. The time for pretending has passed. Today the Thessians submit or die. Counselor Yeath had not slept all night. Her gray fur was disheveled and her eyes were red from crying. She had spent hours trying to contact her government, begging them to find some way to save their people. Please, she whispered. One more day. Just give us one more day to find a solution. Zektar's yellow eyes were cold and pitiless. No, you have had enough time. What is your answer? Before Counselor Yeath could respond, Admiral Chen stood up. The Thessian coalition chooses to resist your demands. Every alien in the room turned to stare at the human admiral. Counselor Yeath looked shocked. She had not given that answer. Admiral Chen, she began, I have not yet spoken for my people, but I have spoken for mine. Admiral Chen interrupted gently. 3 months ago, the Thessian coalition requested protection from the Terran Federation. We agreed. That agreement stands. Zektar's mandibles clicked with pleasure. So the humans choose to die with the Thessians. How noble. How stupid. He gestured to one of his officers who activated a massive holographic display in the center of the room. The display showed the entire galaxy with thousands of red dots marking Cravaxi fleet positions. Behold the power of the Cravaxi Empire, Zektar said proudly. 3,000 ships positioned at strategic points throughout the galaxy. The largest military force ever assembled. The hologram zoomed in on different sectors showing detailed fleet positions. 12 battle groups surrounded Thessian space. Other fleets controlled major trade routes. More ships blockaded potential enemy strongholds. This is what real power looks like, Zektar continued. Not words. Not treaties. Not councils that make laws they cannot enforce. This is strength that can reshape the galaxy. The alien representatives stared at the display in awe and terror. Some races had never seen so many ships in one place. Others had never imagined that any single empire could build such a massive fleet. Rootsinger Timal's fronds were trembling. How is this possible? How did you build so many ships without anyone noticing? We have been preparing for 50 years, Zektar replied. While other races talked about peace and cooperation, we built weapons. While you held meetings and signed treaties, we forged an empire. Speaker Vex of the Nixari was calculating numbers on his tablet. This represents the military output of hundreds of worlds. The resources required, the manufacturing capacity, yes, Zektar agreed. We have conquered or absorbed 137 star systems. Their populations work for the Empire now. Their resources feed our war machine. This was new information to most of the delegates. They had known the Cravaxi were expanding, but not how far or how fast. 137 systems meant billions of inhabitants under Cravaxi control. Ambassador Caney was sweating heavily now. The Council? The Council must be informed. This changes everything. The Council is irrelevant, Zektar said dismissively. Look at your pathetic force. 12 patrol ships to police an entire galaxy. You are not a government. You are a joke. He turned his attention back to Admiral Chen. And you, human, you claim to protect the Thessians. With what? Where is your mighty fleet? Where are your weapons? Admiral Chen remained calm. They are where they need to be. Where? Show me on this display. Point to your ships. Admiral Chen studied the holographic galaxy for a moment. You show 3,000 ships spread across hundreds of star systems. Very impressive. But I noticed something interesting. What? You have no ships here, Zektar laughed. I have 50 ships at this location. More than enough to deal with a diplomatic station and a few escorts. 50 ships versus 3,000. Admiral Chen mused. That means you have only 1.7% of your total force actually here. So, the other ships are positioned to prevent anyone from interfering. I see. Admiral Chen turned to Commander Park. Commander, what is our situation? Commander Park checked her tablet. All units are in position and ready, sir. All units? Zektar demanded. What units? You have no ships here. Admiral Chen smiled slightly. Actually, we do. Commander Park, I think it is time for a demonstration. Commander Park's fingers moved quickly across her tablet. Yes, sir. Activating sensor sweep now. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the space station's detection systems began to scream with alerts. New contacts were appearing on sensors throughout the system. Not one or two contacts, dozens, then hundreds. The holographic display flickered and changed. The galaxy map disappeared, replaced by a tactical view of the local star system. Red dots marked Cravaxi ships. Blue dots marked the space station and various civilian vessels. And suddenly, hundreds of green dots appeared. The alien representatives gasped in shock. The Cravaxi officers started shouting at their tablets, demanding explanations from their fleet commanders. What is this? Zektar roared. Where did these ships come from? Admiral Chen studied the display calmly. 847 vessels of the Terran Federation Navy. They have been here for 3 days. The room erupted in chaos. Alien representatives were shouting questions. Cravaxi officers were frantically checking their sensors. Only the humans remained calm. Zektar stared at the display in disbelief. Impossible. Our sensors would have detected them. Your sensors did detect them, Admiral Chen replied. You just did not recognize what you were seeing. Commander Park activated another control. The display zoomed in on the gas giant at the edge of the system. What had appeared to be asteroids and debris were now clearly revealed as human warships. Stealth technology, she explained. We learned to hide our ships during our wars on Earth. The technology works just as well in space. Lieutenant Torres was taking notes on everything that was happening. Sir, Admiral Zhang reports all ships are ready for action. Admiral Zhang? Asked Ambassador Caney. Fleet Admiral Zhang commands our battle group, Admiral Chen replied. Perhaps you would like to hear from her directly. He nodded to Commander Park, who activated the communication system. A new voice filled the room, strong and authoritative. This is Fleet Admiral Zhang of the Terran Federation Dreadnought Indomitable Will, Cravaxi vessels. You are ordered to power down your weapons and withdraw to a minimum distance of 10 astronomical units. You have 30 minutes to comply. The voice was calm and professional, but there was steel underneath. This was not a request. It was an order backed by overwhelming force. Zektar found his voice. You cannot have 800 ships. No one builds fleets that large anymore. The Terran Federation does, Admiral Chen replied. We learned something during our 10,000 years of warfare on Earth. When you fight for survival, you build the tools you need to win. Captain Vex of the Cravaxi fleet was shouting into his communicator. All ships report status. How many enemy vessels do you count? The response came back filled with panic. Sir, we count at least 800 ships. Maybe more. They are everywhere. They have us surrounded. Surrounded? Zektar turned to look at the tactical display. It was true. The human ships had formed a perfect sphere around the diplomatic station. Every Cravaxi vessel was trapped inside that sphere. How is this possible? He demanded. You are a young race. You have been in space for only 30 years. Admiral Chen nodded. 30 years of space travel, but 10,000 years of war. We know how to build ships that can take damage and keep fighting. We know how to position fleets for maximum tactical advantage, and we know how to hide our strength until the moment we choose to reveal it. The Valkyrie representative was studying the display with fascination. The formation is perfect. Every angle covered, no escape routes. We call it a Terran globe, Lieutenant Torres explained. Standard fleet deployment for siege operations. Zektar was getting desperate. This changes nothing. We still have 3,000 ships. You have 800. We outnumber you 4-1. You have 3,000 ships scattered across the galaxy, Admiral Chen corrected. We have 800 ships right here, right now. Your nearest reinforcements are 6 hours away. Our ships are in firing position. Commander Park was receiving updates through her earpiece. Sir, the Cravaxi fleet commanders are requesting instructions. Some ships are already moving to comply with Admiral Zhang's orders. And the others? Holding position, waiting for orders from Ambassador Zektar. All eyes turned to the Cravaxi ambassador. His scaled face was twisted with rage and disbelief. He had come here expecting easy victory. Instead, he found himself outgunned and outmaneuvered. "You are bluffing," he said finally. "You would not dare attack us. That would start a galactic war, would it?" Admiral Chen asked. "You are the ones who declared war. You surrounded Thessian worlds with invasion fleets. You threatened to bombard civilian cities. We are here to prevent that war not started." Speaker Vex was studying his tablet frantically. "The human ships? What class are they? What weapons do they carry?" Lieutenant Torres consulted his notes. Mixed fleet composition: 215 destroyers, 308 cruisers, 212 battleships, 110 carriers, and 2 dreadnoughts. "2 dreadnoughts?" gasped Ambassador Caney. "No one builds dreadnoughts anymore. They are too expensive." "We build what we need," Admiral Chen replied simply. The tactical display updated again, showing more detail about the human ships. The alien representative stared in amazement at the specifications. These were not exploration vessels or patrol ships. These were warships built for one purpose: winning battles. "The armor thickness," Root Singer Thymel whispered. "These ships are designed to survive multiple direct hits." "The weapon systems," Speaker Vex's voice was full of awe. "Some of these violate galactic weapons treaties." Admiral Chen shrugged. "The Terran Federation never signed those treaties. We were not invited to participate in galactic government when those laws were made." This was technically true. When the weapons limitation treaties were signed, humans were still confined to Earth. They had not been part of the galactic community, and therefore were not bound by its laws. Zektar was desperately trying to salvage the situation. "You cannot keep 800 ships here forever. Eventually you will have to leave. When you do, we will complete our conquest. Will you?" Admiral Chen asked. "Tell me, Ambassador Zektar, how long can your fleets maintain their current positions? How much does it cost to keep 3,000 ships deployed across the galaxy?" This hit home. Military deployments were enormously expensive. Ships needed fuel, supplies, and repairs. Crews needed to be fed and paid. The Cravaxi had been planning for a quick victory followed by rapid withdrawal. A long siege would bankrupt their empire. Furthermore, Admiral Chen continued, "What happens to your other conquests while your fleets are tied up here? Are your 137 subject worlds completely pacified? Do they never rebel? Do they never require additional military attention?" Zektar's silence was answer enough. The Cravaxi Empire was built on conquest, but it required constant force to maintain control. If their fleets were trapped in one system, problems would arise everywhere else. Commander Park received another message. "Sir, Admiral Zhang reports that several Cravaxi ships are powering down their weapons. The flagship is requesting permission to speak with their high command." "Granted," Admiral Chen replied. "Tell Admiral Zhang to allow one ship to leave the system to carry messages. The rest remain under our protection." "Protection?" Zektar snarled. "Yes," Admiral Chen said calmly. "We would not want any of your ships to suffer accidental damage while we discuss the terms of Cravaxi withdrawal from Thessian space." The mask had finally fallen away. The peace talks were over. Now came the real negotiation. How many Cravaxi ships would survive to return home? The communication channel crackled with desperate voices as Cravaxi fleet commanders throughout the system tried to understand what had happened. Their sensors showed hundreds of human ships that had appeared from nowhere, surrounding them completely. Captain Vex was shouting into his communicator from his position near the diplomatic station. "High Command, we need immediate reinforcements. The humans have a massive fleet here." The response came back filled with confusion and disbelief. "Captain Vex, repeat your last transmission. Did you say the humans have a fleet?" 800 ships, Captain Vex screamed. "They have 800 warships." "Where did they come from?" Admiral Chen listened to the panicked communications with interest. He turned to Commander Park. "How are our stealth systems performing?" "Perfectly, sir," she replied, checking her tablet. "The Cravaxi still cannot get clear sensor readings on most of our fleet. They know we are here, but they cannot determine our exact positions or capabilities. This was by design. Human stealth technology was more advanced than anything the other races possessed. During Earth's many wars, The ability to hide your forces had often meant the difference between victory and defeat. Lieutenant Torres was monitoring Cravaxi communications. "Sir, they are trying to contact their main fleets in other systems." "So far, no response. Communications jamming?" asked Admiral Chen. "No, sir, we are not jamming them. But their nearest major fleet is 6 hours away at maximum speed. The fleets surrounding Thessian worlds are even further." This was the critical factor that Zektar had not considered. His strategy relied on having overwhelming force spread across many locations. But when faced with a concentrated enemy fleet, that advantage became a weakness. Most of his ships were too far away to help. Ambassador Zektar was studying the tactical display with growing horror. The human ships were not just numerous. They were positioned with mathematical precision. Every escape route was blocked. Every angle of attack was covered. "This formation," he muttered. "Where did you learn this?" Admiral Chen approached the display. "We call it the Terran Globe. We developed it during the siege of Luna in 2387. 87? Asked Ambassador Caney. "But that was before you had faster-than-light travel. How could you have a siege in space?" "The siege was in our own solar system," Lieutenant Torres explained. "During the Solar Federation War, Earth forces surrounded the lunar colonies for 8 months. The alien representatives looked confused. They had trouble understanding how a species could fight wars in space before developing interstellar travel. Most races had unified their home systems peacefully before expanding to the stars. "You fought wars in your own star system?" Speaker Vex asked. "We fought wars everywhere," Admiral Chen replied simply. "On planets, in space, and asteroid fields around gas giants. When humans fight, we use every available battlefield." Commander Park was receiving constant updates from the human fleet. "Sir, Admiral Zhang reports all Cravaxi vessels are now under observation. We have targeting solutions for every ship." "Targeting solutions?" Zektar's voice cracked slightly. "You would fire on diplomatic vessels?" "Your ships are armed warships in a combat formation," Admiral Chen pointed out. "The presence of a diplomatic flag does not change their military nature." This was another lesson from Earth's wars. Humans had learned not to trust enemy claims about peaceful intentions. If a ship carried weapons and could fight, it was treated as a military target. The tactical display updated again, showing more detailed information about the human fleet composition. The numbers were staggering, but what shocked the aliens most was the weapons specifications. Rootsinger Thymel was reading the data with growing amazement. "These plasma cannons, they have 3 times the range of standard galactic weapons. And the missile systems," added Speaker Vex. "These are ship-killer weapons. They are designed to destroy other warships, not disable them." Admiral Chen nodded. "We build our weapons to end fights quickly. Long battles waste lives and resources." This revealed a fundamental difference in military philosophy. Most galactic races fought wars with the goal of capturing enemy ships intact. Disabled vessels could be repaired and added to your own fleet. Human weapons were designed for complete destruction. Zektar was studying the weapon specs with professional interest despite his situation. "These violate the Galactic Weapons Convention. No civilized race builds weapons of this destructive power. As I mentioned before, we were not invited to sign that convention," Admiral Chen replied. "We were still confined to our home system when those treaties were negotiated. But surely you could adopt those standards now," Ambassador Caney suggested hopefully. "Join the civilized community of races." Admiral Chen was quiet for a moment. "Ambassador Caney, how many races signed the Galactic Weapons Convention?" 47 races committed to limited warfare and proportional response. "And how many of those races have been conquered by the Cravaxi Empire?" Ambassador Caney checked his records. His face went pale. 17 races, exactly. Your civilized weapons were not enough to protect them. This was the harsh reality that no one wanted to discuss. The galactic community's commitment to limited warfare had made them vulnerable to the Cravaxi, who ignored those limitations when convenient. Captain Vex was still trying to contact reinforcements. His communications were becoming more desperate as time passed. "Any Cravaxi vessels within jump range respond. We are surrounded and outnumbered." Finally, a response came through. "Captain Vex, this is Admiral Thex commanding Battle Group 7. We are moving to assist, but we are 6 hours out at maximum speed." 6 hours? Captain Vex looked at the human fleet surrounding his ships. "We need help now." "Negative, Captain. All other battle groups are engaged in containment operations around Thessian worlds. We cannot abandon those positions. This created a perfect tactical dilemma for the Cravaxi. If they brought ships to help Captain Vex, they would have to abandon their blockade of Thessian space. But if they maintained the blockade, Captain Vex's ships would be destroyed. Admiral Chen had anticipated this problem. Commander Park, please send a message to Admiral Zhang. She is authorized to begin Phase 2. Phase 2, sir? Yes. It is time to show our friends the full scope of human military planning. Commander Park sent the signal. A few minutes later, the tactical display changed again. New contacts appeared throughout the galaxy, not here in this system, but in dozens of other locations. Zektar stared at the display in growing horror. What? What is this? Admiral Chen studied the new contacts calmly. Human fleets in 17 different star systems. We have ships positioned near every major Cravaxi fleet concentration. The truth was devastating. While the Cravaxi had been focused on surrounding Thessian worlds, human fleets had quietly moved into position near major Cravaxi bases. If fighting started, it would not be limited to this one system. This is impossible, Zektar whispered. You cannot have this many ships. Your entire race has only been in space for 30 years. 30 years of constant shipbuilding, Lieutenant Torres confirmed. We have built more ships in 3 decades than most races build in 3 centuries. This was another lesson from Earth's wars. Humans understood that industrial capacity was just as important as battlefield tactics. While other races built ships slowly and carefully, humans had focused on rapid mass production. Speaker Vex was frantically calculating numbers. If these readings are correct, the human fleet totals over 4,000 ships. That is larger than the entire Cravaxi Navy. 4,215 ships, Commander Park confirmed, plus support vessels, cargo ships, and mobile bases. The alien representatives sat in stunned silence. They had thought the Cravaxi fleet was impossibly large. Now they discovered that humanity had built an even larger force in secret. Ambassador Caney found his voice first. How? How did you build so many ships without anyone noticing? Admiral Chen smiled slightly. We built them in our own space, using our own resources. We did not announce our shipbuilding programs or invite foreign observers. Most races assumed we were building cargo vessels and colony ships. But the resources required, Rootsinger Thimel's fronds were trembling. The metal, the energy, the manufacturing capacity. Earth has 8 billion people, Admiral Chen replied, plus another 12 billion in our colony worlds. 20 billion humans working together can accomplish remarkable things. This was the factor that other races had underestimated. Most galactic civilizations had stable populations measured in millions or low billions. Humanity's population was still growing rapidly, providing enormous industrial capacity. Zektar was beginning to understand the true scope of his mistake. You planned this, all of it. The peace talks, the diplomatic mission, everything. We hoped for genuine peace talks, Admiral Chen said. But we prepared for war. As we learned on Earth, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Captain Vex received another communication from his fleet commanders. Sir, the human ships are taking offensive positions. They have us targeted with multiple weapon systems. Admiral Chen heard this through the open channel. Admiral Zhang, this is Admiral Chen. What is the status of Cravaxi compliance with our withdrawal orders? Zhang's voice came through clearly. Approximately 30% of Cravaxi vessels have powered down weapons and begun withdrawal. The remainder are holding position in apparent defiance of our orders. Time remaining? 17 minutes until the 30-minute deadline expires. Zektar turned to Admiral Chen with desperate eyes. What happens in 17 minutes? That depends on you, Admiral Chen replied. Will your ships comply with our orders, or will they force us to take action? You would not dare attack us. That would mean war with the entire Cravaxi Empire. Admiral Chen consulted his tablet. According to our intelligence, the Cravaxi Empire currently has 2,847 operational warships. We have 4,215 ships positioned throughout the galaxy. The mathematics seem clear. For the first time, Zektar truly understood his position. The Cravaxi Empire was not facing a small human escort fleet. They were facing the entire human military, positioned for maximum tactical advantage. What do you want? He asked finally. Simple, Admiral Chen replied. Complete withdrawal of all Cravaxi forces from Thessian space. Immediate cessation of hostile actions against the Thessian coalition. and formal recognition of the Terran Federation's protection agreement with the Thessians. And if we refuse? Admiral Chen looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of human warships. Then you will discover why humanity survived 10,000 years of warfare on a single planet. The room fell silent except for the crackling of radio communications, as Cravaxi commanders awaited orders that could determine the fate of their empire. 10 minutes remained until Admiral Zhang's deadline, when the first Cravaxi ship broke formation. It was a small destroyer on the outer edge of Captain Vex's fleet. Without warning, it powered down its weapons and began moving away from the diplomatic station. The tactical display showed its course, directly toward the edge of the human sphere formation. "Coward," Captain Vex shouted into his communicator. "Return to formation immediately." But the destroyer did not respond. Instead, 2 more ships followed its example. Then 5 more. Within minutes, nearly half of the Cravaxi vessels were withdrawing. Ambassador Zektar watched this with growing rage. "Order them back. I command all ships to maintain their positions." Captain Vex was trying, but his authority was crumbling. The Cravaxi military had always been built on strength and success. Now that their fleet was surrounded and outgunned, individual commanders were making their own decisions about survival. Admiral Chen observed the situation calmly. "It appears your captains are more practical than their leaders." "They are traitors and cowards," Zektar snarled. "They are saving their crew's lives," Admiral Chen corrected. "That is the mark of good officers." Commander Park was monitoring the withdrawing ships. "Sir, the human fleet is allowing free passage to any Cravaxi vessel that powers down weapons and maintains a safe distance." "Good. Continue to monitor, but do not interfere with their retreat." This was another calculated move. By allowing some Cravaxi ships to withdraw safely, Admiral Chen was encouraging others to follow. Why fight a hopeless battle when survival was an option? Lieutenant Torres was tracking communications from the Cravaxi home fleet. "Sir, Admiral Thex is demanding to speak with Ambassador Zektar directly." "Put him through," Admiral Chen suggested. Zektar activated his communicator with shaking hands. "Admiral Thex, report your status." "Ambassador, what is your situation? Our long-range sensors show massive fleet movements throughout human space." "Are you under attack?" "We are surrounded," Zektar admitted. "The humans have 800 ships here, and they claim to have thousands more positioned near our other fleets." There was a long pause. 800 ships? The humans? That is impossible. "I am looking at them right now," Zektar replied bitterly. Another pause. "Ambassador, I am receiving reports from our other commanders. Human fleets have appeared near all of our major bases. They are demanding we withdraw from Thessian space. How many ships do they have total?" "Our estimates suggest over 4,000 vessels. More than our entire navy." The communication channel fell silent. Every being in the room could hear the defeat in Admiral Thex's voice. The Cravaxi Empire had built the largest military force in galactic history, only to discover that humanity had quietly built an even larger one. Counselor Yith spoke for the first time in hours. "Is it true? Are my people really safe?" Admiral Chen turned to her with a gentle expression. "The Terran Federation honors its commitments, Counselor. Your worlds are under our protection, but for how long? Can you keep so many ships deployed indefinitely?" This was a good question. Military deployments were enormously expensive, even for humanity. Admiral Chen had considered this problem carefully. "We do not need to keep our ships deployed indefinitely," he explained. "We only need to keep them deployed long enough to change the strategic situation." Ambassador Caney looked confused. "What do you mean?" Admiral Chen gestured to the tactical display. "Look at the Cravaxi positions. They have spent months moving ships into attack positions around Thessian worlds. Those deployments are costing them enormous resources every day." Speaker Vex was studying his calculations. "The fuel costs alone. Maintaining 3,000 ships in active deployment." "Exactly," Admiral Chen agreed. "The Cravaxi Empire planned for a quick victory followed by rapid withdrawal. They cannot afford a long siege any more than we can." Zektar was beginning to understand the trap he had walked into. "You are forcing us to choose between economic collapse and military defeat." "I'm offering you a third option," Admiral Chen replied. "Peaceful withdrawal with honor intact." This was the critical moment. Admiral Chen was giving Zektar a way to save face while accepting defeat. In human military tradition, Allowing an enemy to retreat with dignity often prevented future conflicts. The communication channel crackled again. Admiral Thex's voice was strained. Ambassador Zektar, High Command is ordering all fleets to withdraw to defensive positions. The cost of maintaining our current deployments is unsustainable. Zektar closed his eyes in defeat. When he opened them again, his voice was quiet. Acknowledged, Admiral Thex. All Cravaxi forces will withdraw from Thessian space. A cheer went up from Counselor Yith and several other alien representatives. The immediate crisis was over. War had been averted, but Admiral Chen was not finished. Ambassador Zektar, there is one more matter to discuss. What now? The Galactic Council needs to address the broader issue of military expansion. The Cravaxi Empire has conquered 137 star systems. What about the populations of those worlds? This touched on a problem everyone had been avoiding. The Cravaxi Empire was built on conquest, but what happened to the conquered peoples? Were they slaves, citizens, something in between? Ambassador Caney leaned forward. Yes, the Council has received complaints from refugees. Reports of forced labor, resource extraction, population displacement. Zektar's expression hardened. Those worlds are part of the Cravaxi Empire now. Their populations are our responsibility. Responsibility? Admiral Chen's voice carried a cold edge. Or property. They are protected by Cravaxi law and Cravaxi strength. Protected from what? From freedom. The room tension was rising again. Admiral Chen was pushing toward another confrontation, but this time the issue was bigger than just the Thessians. Commander Park received a message and showed it to Admiral Chen. He read it and nodded. I have just received a communication from the Terran Federation Council, Admiral Chen announced. The Federation is prepared to offer protection agreements to any world or system that requests our assistance. The implications were staggering. If humanity was willing to protect other races from Cravaxi expansion, the entire balance of galactic power would shift. Root Singer Thymel spoke carefully. Would this protection extend to worlds currently under Cravaxi control? If those worlds formally request our assistance, yes. Zektar shot to his feet. You cannot steal our worlds. Those systems are part of our empire. Empires built on conquest have no legitimate claim to stolen worlds. Admiral Chen replied calmly. If the populations of those worlds choose freedom, we will support their choice. This was the moment when everyone realized the true scope of what was happening. The peace talks had not just prevented one war, they had fundamentally changed the power structure of the galaxy. Lieutenant Torres was monitoring communications from the Cravaxi fleet. Sir, several Cravaxi commanders are reporting that their home systems are receiving communications from human diplomatic missions. What kind of communications? Formal offers of trade agreements, mutual defense pacts, and protection services. Zektar stared at Admiral Chen in shock. You planned all of this. The fleet deployment, the peace talks, the diplomatic missions. This was never about the Thessians. The Thessians were our immediate concern, Admiral Chen agreed. But the Terran Federation believes in the principle of self-determination for all races. No people should live under the rule of conquerors. Ambassador Caney was frantically taking notes. The Council will need to review all of these developments. New protection agreements, changes in territorial control, military balance. The Council is welcome to review our actions, Admiral Chen said. But the Terran Federation will not wait for bureaucratic approval to protect innocent people. The next few hours saw a complete transformation of the galactic political situation. Admiral Zhang's deadline passed without incident. The remaining Cravaxi ships powered down their weapons and began withdrawing to safe distances. Captain Vex's fleet retreated to the edge of the system, maintaining face while acknowledging defeat. Communications poured in from across the galaxy. 12 worlds under Cravaxi control formally requested Terran Federation protection. 3 other races asked for mutual defense agreements. The Galactic Council called for emergency sessions to address the new situation. Most importantly, the blockade around Thessian worlds was broken. Cravaxi ships withdrew to their own territory, allowing normal commerce and communication to resume. Counselor Yith approached Admiral Chen as the human delegation prepared to depart. How can we ever thank you? You saved our entire civilization. Admiral Chen smiled. Help us build a galaxy where this kind of threat never arises again. Support self-determination for all races. Work with us to create real peace, not just the absence of war. We will, she promised. The Thessian coalition will stand with humanity in building a better future. As the human shuttle prepared to depart the station, other alien representatives gathered to say goodbye. The mood was completely different from when they had arrived. Hope had replaced despair. Admiral Chen paused at the airlock. The Terran Federation came here seeking peace. We found something better. We found partners in building a just galaxy. Ambassador Caney shook the Admiral's hand. Will your fleets remain deployed? For now, yes. Until we are certain that all threats to peaceful worlds have been eliminated. Admiral Chen looked back at the meeting room where so much had changed. Peace is not something you achieve once and forget about. It requires constant vigilance and occasional demonstrations of strength. The shuttle departed, leaving behind a transformed galaxy. Within 6 months, the Crusade Empire had lost 43 star systems, as worlds voted for independence under Terran Federation protection. The Empire's military was reduced to defending its core territories. No longer able to support aggressive expansion, the Galactic Council reformed itself, adding the Terran Federation as a permanent member with security responsibilities. New laws were passed protecting the right of all worlds to choose their own government. Trade flourished as former Crusade subjects rejoined the galactic community as free worlds. The Thessians became major partners with humanity, sharing resources and technology. And throughout the galaxy, whenever aggressive empires considered expanding their territory, they remembered the lesson of the peace talks that failed. Sometimes the quiet race sitting in the corner has brought the biggest fleet. Admiral Chen returned to Earth to a hero's welcome, but he took no joy in the military victory. In his report to the Federation Council, he wrote, "We achieved our objectives without firing a shot. This is the greatest victory possible, peace preserved through strength demonstrated but not used. The galaxy is safer today because potential aggressors now understand that expansion through conquest will be met with overwhelming resistance." The human way of war, it turned out, was to be so prepared for conflict that conflict became unnecessary, and in the shadow of gas giants throughout human space, fleets continued to wait and watch, ready to defend freedom wherever it was threatened. The sun rose over Earth like it had for billions of years. But today was different. Today, humanity faced its greatest threat. Commander Alex stood at the main window of Space Defense Station Alpha, looking at the blue planet below. His hands were clasped behind his back and his face showed no emotion. But inside, his heart raced with worry. "They're coming closer, sir," said Officer Ben, who sat at the radar station. "The alien ships will reach Mars orbit in 3 hours." Alex nodded. He had hoped this day would never come. First contact with the Voidborn 6 months ago had started with promise but quickly turned into a nightmare. The aliens had not come in peace. "Any word from the United Nations?" Alex asked. "Yes, sir. The Security Council has given you full authority to speak for Earth," Ben replied, his voice tight with stress. The room fell silent. 20 men and women worked at their stations, monitoring screens and checking systems. They were the best of the best, chosen from every nation. Now, the fate of 8 billion people rested on their shoulders. "Open a channel when they're in range," Alex ordered, "and make sure our message reaches every corner of Earth. People have a right to know what's happening." Officer Lisa at the communications station nodded. Her fingers moved quickly over the keyboard. "Channel ready in 1 hour, sir." Alex walked to his private office. The small room had only a desk, a chair, and a picture of his family. He touched the photograph gently. His wife and son were in an underground shelter, along with millions of others. Would they ever see the sun again? The door opened, and General Rob entered. The old soldier's face was grim. "Is Project Omega ready?" Alex asked without turning around. "Yes," Rob answered. "But you know what using it means. There's no coming back from that decision." Alex finally turned to face him. "I know, but if it's the only way to save our world, I'll give the order. The President wanted me to remind you. Diplomacy first." "Always," Alex agreed. "But we'll be ready if diplomacy fails." 3 hours passed quickly. The massive alien fleet had reached Mars and had stopped there, as if gathering strength for the final approach to Earth. Alex stood in the command center, now joined by science advisor Dr. Mark and military strategist Colonel Jane. The large screen in front of them showed the alien fleet, hundreds of ships, each larger than anything humans had ever built. "Channel open, sir," Lisa announced. "They're responding." The screen changed, showing the alien commander. The Voidborn looked almost like shadows with form, tall, dark figures with eyes that glowed like distant stars. Their leader, who called himself Draws, spoke in a deep voice that the translation computers had learned to understand. "Humans of Earth," Draws said, his words echoing through the station. "Your time has ended. Surrender your world to us, and we will allow some of you to live as our servants. Resist, and you will all perish." Alex stepped forward. His voice was steady when he replied, "We welcome peaceful contact with all species, but we will not surrender our home. Earth belongs to humanity." Draws made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your weapons cannot harm us. Your technology is primitive. What choice do you have?" "There is always choice," Alex answered. "We ask you to leave our system, in peace." The alien's glowing eyes seemed to burn brighter. "To show you our power and the futility of resistance, watch." The screen split, showing one of the alien ships moving toward Phobos, the small moon of Mars. A beam of light shot from the ship and struck the moon. In seconds, Phobos cracked, then shattered into thousands of pieces. Gasps filled the command center. Dr. Mark whispered, "The energy required to do that, it's beyond anything we can produce." Draws spoke again. "That is one small ship. We have hundreds. You have one day to surrender, or we will do the same to your moon, causing devastating tides and disasters on your world. Then we will come for Earth itself." The screen went dark. Silence filled the room until Colonel Jane spoke. "Sir, if they destroy our moon—" "I know," Alex said. He pressed a button on the control panel. "This is Commander Alex to all Earth governments. You've seen what they can do. We need to make a decision now." Within an hour, leaders from around the world had gathered in a virtual meeting. The discussion was brief. Everyone had seen the destruction of Phobos. The threat was clear. "We cannot surrender," the president said finally, "but conventional weapons will not stop them. Commander Alex, you have authorization to inform them of Project Omega." Alex nodded grimly. He returned to the command center, where the team waited for orders. "Open the channel again," he said to Lisa. "Broadcast to their fleet and to all of Earth." When the alien commander appeared on screen again, Alex spoke clearly and firmly. "Draws of the Voidborn, this is humanity's only warning. Throughout our history, we have faced extinction many times, from ice ages, from asteroids, from our own weapons. Each time we survived. We will survive you too." Alex paused, letting his words sink in. "We have watched your kind for longer than, we understand what you are and what you've done to other worlds. If you continue this war, you will face a response unlike anything your kind has ever witnessed." "Empty threats," Draws replied. "Your primitive species cannot harm us." Alex nodded to Dr. Mark, who pressed a series of buttons. The screen changed to show technical details of Project Omega, a weapon capable of tearing apart the fabric of space itself. This device can create a rupture in space-time that will destroy everything within the orbit of Jupiter. "We built it as a last resort against extinction. If you force our hand, we will use it." For the first time, the alien commander was silent. "You would destroy yourselves?" Draws finally asked. "If necessary, yes," Alex answered. "We would rather die free than live as slaves. You have 6 hours to begin leaving our system. After that, we will consider your actions a continued act of war, and we will respond accordingly." The transmission ended. Now all they could do was wait and hope the aliens believed their warning. Alex looked again at Earth through the window. Would this be the last day it existed as humans knew it? Only time would tell. 6 months earlier, the International Space Station floated silently in Earth's orbit. Inside, astronaut Jack floated near the large observation window, his eyes fixed on the stars. He had been in space for 3 months now, but the view still took his breath away. Still daydreaming? A voice called from behind him. Jack turned to see scientist Morgan pushing herself through the narrow corridor. Her dark hair was tied back in a practical bun, and she carried a tablet computer. "Not daydreaming," Jack said with a smile. "Just thinking about how small we are in this big universe." Morgan nodded. "Well, speaking of the universe, I need your help with something strange." She handed him the tablet. "Our deep space sensors picked up unusual energy readings beyond Neptune. Nothing natural makes patterns like these." Jack studied the screen, his smile fading. The readings showed regular pulses of energy, too regular to be natural. "How long has this been happening?" 3 days, Morgan replied. "Mission Control wants us to focus our instruments on that area and gather more data." For the next week, Jack and Morgan worked with the rest of the station crew to monitor the strange signals. The energy readings grew stronger each day, moving closer to Earth. "Whatever it is, it's heading our way," Jack said during a video call with Earth. On the screen, the serious face of intelligence officer Tom looked back at them. "We're tracking it too," Tom said. "The president has called an emergency meeting of world leaders. This could be it. First contact with an alien civilization." 2 days later, the mysterious object appeared near Jupiter's orbit. It wasn't one ship, but many. A fleet of massive vessels unlike anything humans had built. The largest was the size of a small city. The world held its breath. Military forces went on high alert, but no hostile actions came from the alien fleet. Instead, a message arrived, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect English. "People of Earth, we are the Voidborn. We come from a star system you call HD 4307. We seek peaceful exchange of knowledge and resources." The message played over and over. World leaders debated how to respond. Finally, a reply was sent, welcoming the Voidborn and inviting them to send representatives to Earth. "I don't like it," Tom said during a private call with Jack and Morgan. "Why would they learn our languages before making contact? And why bring such a large fleet for a peaceful mission?" "Maybe that's just how they travel," Morgan suggested. "Or maybe they're cautious like us." 3 alien ships separated from the main fleet and moved toward Earth while the rest remained near Jupiter. When they reached Earth orbit, smaller shuttles descended to a prepared landing area in neutral territory, a large field in Switzerland. The world watched as the shuttles landed and the alien visitors emerged. The Voidborn were tall beings with dark skin that seemed to absorb light. Their eyes glowed like distant stars, and they moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost unnatural. The first meetings went well. The Voidborn spoke of sharing technology and knowledge. They claimed their civilization was millions of years old and had visited thousands of worlds. They offered to help humanity solve its biggest problems: disease, climate change, energy, shortages. "Too good to be true," Tom muttered as he watched the broadcast from his office. Unlike most people, who were celebrating the peaceful contact, Tom felt uneasy. He had spent his career looking for hidden threats, and something about the Voidborn didn't add up. He began a secret investigation, working with a small team to monitor all communications between the aliens and Earth governments. For weeks, they found nothing unusual. Then one night they intercepted a message from the alien fleet near Jupiter, a message not meant for human ears. Tom rushed to the secure meeting room where the president and key advisors waited. His face was pale, and his hands shook slightly as he placed his computer on the table. "We've decoded their internal communications," he announced. "The Voidborn are not here for peaceful exchange. They've done this before, to at least 17 other worlds." He played the intercepted message. The alien voice spoke coldly about Earth's resources, about how the humans were primitive and easily controlled, about how this world would be harvested like the others. "Their real fleet is still hidden beyond our solar system," Tom continued. "These ships are just the advance force. Once they've gained our trust and learned our weaknesses, the main fleet will arrive." The room was silent for a long moment. Then, the president spoke. "How certain are you about this translation?" "Completely certain," Tom replied. "We've cross-checked it multiple ways." The next day, Earth's leaders confronted the Void-born representatives with the evidence. For a moment, the aliens said nothing. Then their leader, who called himself Draaz, laughed, a chilling sound that made even brave men step back. "Clever. Humans," Draaz said, his voice deeper and colder than before. "You weren't supposed to discover our true purpose so soon. No matter. The outcome will be the same." All pretense of friendship vanished. Draaz's eyes glowed brighter as he spoke. "Your world is rich in resources we need. You can surrender and serve us, or you can resist and be destroyed. The choice is yours, but the result will be the same. Earth will be ours." Before anyone could respond, the alien representatives vanished, teleported back to their ships. The Yaur. 3 vessels in Earth orbit immediately moved away, heading back toward the main fleet. Within hours, the Void-born ships near Jupiter began to move toward Earth. Their peaceful messages stopped. Instead came a simple demand: surrender or be destroyed. Earth's military forces prepared for battle, but everyone knew the truth. Humanity's weapons were no match for the alien technology. Scientists and engineers worked desperately to find a way to defend their world. In a secret facility deep underground, Project Omega, a weapon of last resort, was brought online. It had been developed years earlier, after the first faint alien signals were detected by deep space listening posts. No one had wanted to build such a terrible device, but fear of exactly this scenario had won out. Now, as the alien fleet approached, Mars Commander Alex stood in Space Defense Station Alpha, preparing to deliver humanity's response to the Void-born threat. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and time was running out. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that officially did not exist, Engineer Pat worked tirelessly. Dark circles under his eyes showed he hadn't slept in days. Around him, dozens of scientists and engineers moved with quiet urgency, checking systems and running calculations. "How's the containment field?" Pat asked, not looking up from his computer screen. Quantum physicist Lee, who stood nearby examining a complex series of equations on a transparent board, replied, "Stable for now, but we're pushing the limits of what's possible." She tapped a formula with her marker. "If we increase the power beyond this point, I can't guarantee we can control the reaction." Pat finally looked up, rubbing his tired eyes. "We don't have a choice. The Void-born fleet will reach Earth in less than 2 days. The heart of the underground facility was a massive chamber where Project Prometheus, humanity's ultimate weapon, had been under development for nearly 15 years. Most of the world's population had no idea it existed. Only top government officials and a select group of scientists knew the truth. On the other side of the room, the facility's director, Dr. Wilson, ended a video call with visible frustration. He walked over to Pat and Lee, his face grim. "The Void-born have destroyed our lunar colonies," he announced. "Over 12,000 people were stationed there. There were no survivors." A heavy silence fell over the room. Then Lee asked, "The defense stations in Earth orbit?" "Gone too," Dr. Wilson replied. "They didn't even slow the aliens down." Pat slammed his fist on the desk. "Those monsters. We tried to welcome them, and they repay us with slaughter." Dr. Wilson nodded sadly. "The Global Council is meeting in 1 hour to decide whether to authorize Prometheus. I've been asked to explain exactly what will happen if we activate it." Lee turned to the large window that looked into the chamber beyond. Inside, a device that appeared deceptively simple sat on a platform. It was a sphere about 2 meters across, made of a strange dark material that seemed to bend light around it. Various cables and tubes connected it to massive power generators. "If we activate Prometheus," Lee said quietly, "it will create a quantum tear in the fabric of spacetime. The tear will expand at near light speed, consuming everything in its path: matter, energy, even space itself. Within minutes, it will engulf the entire solar system out to Jupiter's orbit." "And there's no way to stop it once it starts?" Dr. Wilson asked, though he already knew the answer. "None," Lee confirmed. "That's why we built it here, in the deepest facility we could create. Not that it matters. Once activated, no depth of all rock will protect anything." Pat turned back to his computer. I'm running the final simulations now. The power requirements are enormous. We'll need to channel the entire output of 67 nuclear power plants around the world, plus the solar collectors in orbit. Will it work against their ships? Dr. Wilson asked. Pat nodded. The tier doesn't care what it consumes, human, alien, or machine. Everything goes. Nothing we know of can survive it. Including us, Lee added softly. 1 hour later, screens around the facility showed the emergency meeting of the Global Council. Leaders from every nation on Earth had gathered, some in person, others attending virtually. The discussion was brief but intense. The Voidborn have shown their true intentions, said the Secretary General. They've destroyed our outposts without warning or mercy. Their fleet continues to advance. Our conventional weapons can't stop them. But to use Prometheus means the end of everything, another leader argued. Earth, humanity, all life in our solar system, gone in an instant. The president spoke next. We need to understand what we're facing. Dr. Wilson, what do we know about the Voidborn's plans for Earth? Dr. Wilson appeared on the main screen. Based on intercepted communications and analysis of their technology, we believe they intend to strip mine the entire planet. They will extract all valuable resources, including water and atmospheric gases. The process will leave Earth completely uninhabitable. As for humanity, he paused. Those not killed outright would be used as slave labor until they die. So, either way Earth dies, the Secretary General said grimly. The question is whether we die on our terms or theirs. After another hour of debate, the Council took a vote. The decision was made. Prometheus would be activated if the Voidborn did, not withdraw. Earth would rather destroy itself than fall to alien conquerors. Back in the facility, Pat and Lee prepared the weapon for activation. A secure channel was established with Space Defense Station Alpha, where Commander Alex would deliver humanity's final warning to the Voidborn. How long until the system is ready? Dr. Wilson asked. 6 hours, Pat replied. We need to synchronize power flow from all global sources and perform final calibrations. Lee worked at a different station, programming the activation sequence. I've built in 3 verification steps, she explained. 3 different people will need to confirm the activation codes before Prometheus can fire. Dr. Wilson nodded. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Outside the facility across the world, people huddled in shelters or watched the skies fearfully. Military forces mobilized, though everyone knew conventional weapons would do little against the alien technology. In space, the crew of Defense Station Alpha prepared to deliver humanity's ultimatum. Pat took a moment to look at a photo on his desk, a picture of his family at the beach, all smiling under a bright summer sun. He touched it gently. Whatever happens, he whispered. At least they'll never know what hit them. It will be quick. Lee overheard him. She placed a hand on his shoulder. We're doing the right thing. If we must go, we go together and we don't let them take our world. Dr. Wilson's voice came over the intercom. Commander Alex is ready to transmit our message. Everyone, watch your stations. If the Voidborn ignore our warning, we'll need to be ready. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to the screens showing the alien fleet. The dark ships hung in space like predators waiting to strike. In 6 hours, Earth would know its fate. Surrender, destruction by alien hands, or a final, desperate act of defiance that would end everything. Captain Riley crouched behind a fallen concrete wall, her rifle held tight against her chest. Around her, 20 soldiers waited in silence. They were covered in dust and dirt, and their faces showed exhaustion. But in their eyes burned a fierce determination. They're coming, whispered Miller, the team's scout. He had just returned from checking the road ahead. 3 of their walker machines and about 30-foot soldiers. Riley nodded. She had been fighting the Voidborn for 3 days now since they began landing troops on Earth. Her unit was one of many resistance groups hiding in the mountains, attacking alien forces when possible, and then disappearing again. Remember the plan, she said quietly to her team. We hit them fast. Focus fire on the lead walker's sensor array, then fall back to position Delta. We just need to slow them down and keep their attention on us. The soldiers checked their weapons one last time. These were not ordinary guns, but special electromagnetic pulse rifles developed in the weeks after the Voidborn's true intentions were revealed. They couldn't destroy the alien armor, but they could disrupt their systems temporarily. "For Earth," Riley said simply. "For Earth," the others echoed. They spread out among the ruins of what had once been a small mountain town. Now it was just another battlefield in humanity's desperate struggle for survival. The alien forces came into view, moving with cold precision. The walker machines stood 3 times as tall as a human, with multiple weapon arms and a round body that seemed to float above 6 spider-like legs. Behind them marched the Voidborn foot soldiers, their dark armor absorbing the sunlight. Riley waited until the lead walker passed the marked spot, then gave the signal. 20 EMP rifles fired at once, sending invisible pulses of energy at the target. The walker stumbled, its systems temporarily confused. The soldiers quickly shifted their aim to the Voidborn troops and fired again. Chaos erupted. The aliens had not expected resistance here. As some of their troops fell, the others took cover and began returning fire with weapons that shot beams of intense heat. "Move! Move!" Riley shouted, and her team began their planned retreat, firing as they went. They ran through prepared escape routes, splitting into smaller groups. The aliens followed, but the narrow mountain paths slowed their walkers and forced them to divide their forces. Miles away, in an underground command center, General Robb watched the battle through satellite imagery. Similar fights were happening across the globe, small human forces harassing the invaders, buying time for the final preparations. "Riley's team has them distracted," he said to his staff. "How many more hours do we need?" 4 hours, sir," replied his aide. "Project Prometheus will be ready then." Robb nodded grimly. "Every minute we can delay them matters now." On a different screen, he could see larger battles raging in major cities. The Voidborn had established landing zones in strategic locations and were spreading outward. Human military forces fought bravely but were being pushed back everywhere. A message came in from Commander Alex on Space Defense Station Alpha. "The Voidborn commander has requested another communication. Should I accept?" "Yes," Robb ordered. "Keep him talking as long as possible." On the station, Alex once again faced the alien leader on the view screen. Draws appeared different now, more agitated, his glowing eyes flaring. "Your resistance is pointless," the alien said. "Yet you continue to fight when you cannot win. Why?" "It's what humans do," Alex replied calmly. "We fight for our home. We have studied 17 other worlds before yours," Draws said. "None fought so fiercely when defeat was certain. It is puzzling." Alex leaned forward. "Maybe you should take that as a warning." Back on Earth, Riley's team had reached their fallback position, a hidden cave system equipped with supplies and communications gear. They had lost 3 people during the retreat, but had drawn many alien troops away from their main force. "Base, this is Mountain Team," Riley reported over the secure line. "We've delayed their eastern advance force. What's next?" The reply came from General Robb himself. "Good work, Mountain Team. Hold position for now. The final countdown begins in 3 hours." Riley's face showed no emotion, but her hand tightened. On the radio, she knew what final countdown meant. Project Prometheus would soon be activated. "Understood," she replied. Then, turning to her team, "Get some rest. We move again in 2 hours." One of the younger soldiers, Adams, asked quietly, "Is it true, Captain, about the weapon?" Riley looked at each face in the dim light of the cave. These men and women deserved the truth. "Yes, it's true. If the aliens don't withdraw, we'll activate Prometheus. Nothing will survive. Not them, not us, not anything in the inner solar system. So we're fighting just to die on our terms?" another soldier asked. "We're fighting because the Voidborn need to learn a lesson," Riley answered firmly, "that humans don't surrender, that if they force us to this point, we'll take them with us. The hope is that they'll realize this and withdraw before it's too late." In orbit, the alien fleet continued to deploy landing craft. But something was changing. The Voidborn commanders had expected an easy victory, but human resistance was fierce and coordinated. More importantly, their intelligence units had detected unusual energy readings from multiple points on Earth, massive power being channeled somewhere. Draws, in his command ship, reviewed the reports with growing concern. These readings make no sense. The humans cannot have weapons that require this much power. His science officer replied, "The readings match nothing in our database from previous worlds, but they continue to increase. Whatever they're powering will be fully energized in approximately 3 Earth hours." Draws hesitated, something rare for his kind. Could it be a bluff? Unknown. But their resistance pattern suggests they are buying time for something. In the Prometheus facility, Pat and Lee made the final adjustments to the Doomsday device. The sphere now pulsed with a strange light that seemed to bend around it, distorting the air. "Power flow is stable," Pat reported. "All systems are ready for activation." Dr. Wilson nodded solemnly. "The World Council is meeting now for the final authorization. Commander Alex will deliver our last warning to the Voidborn shortly." Lee stepped back from the control panel and looked at the weapon they had created. "I never thought we would actually use it," she said softly. "I always believed it would just be a deterrent." "None of us did," Pat replied. "But here we are." The countdown to humanity's most dangerous response had begun. The next few hours would determine whether Earth and all its life would survive, or whether humans would take one final, defiant stand against those who sought to conquer them. Commander Alex stood alone in the communications room of Space Defense Station Alpha. The station was now nearly empty. Most of the crew had been evacuated to Earth hours earlier. Only a skeleton team remained, those who had volunteered to stay, until the end. Alex straightened his uniform and faced the main camera. In moments, he would deliver humanity's final message to the Voidborn. His mouth felt dry, and despite the station's controlled temperature, a cold sweat ran down his back. Officer Lisa entered the room. "We're ready, sir. The channel is open to the Voidborn command ship and to all Earth broadcast systems." Alex nodded. "How much time remains?" 30 minutes until Project Prometheus reaches full power," Lisa replied. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed her fear. "Begin transmission," Alex ordered. The red light on the camera blinked on. Alex looked directly into it, imagining the alien eyes that would watch this message, and the billions of human eyes that would see it too. "Draws of the Voidborn, and all others who may receive this transmission, I speak now for all humanity," Alex began. "We have watched your forces destroy our lunar colonies and orbital stations. We have seen your troops landing on our world. Despite our warnings, you continue your invasion." He paused, drawing a deep breath. "Therefore, I must deliver our final message. We would rather destroy ourselves than allow our world to be conquered. The device we are about to activate will tear apart the fabric of reality itself within our solar system." Alex pressed a button, sending the technical details of Project Prometheus to the alien fleet. "This is not a bluff. In 25 minutes, we will activate this device. Nothing will survive. Not you, not us. Withdraw now, or face extinction alongside us." The transmission ended. Alex turned to Lisa. "Now we wait." On Earth, in homes and shelters and battlefield positions, people watched the message with a mixture of fear and pride. Humanity would not surrender, even in the face of certain defeat. In the secret facility housing Project Prometheus, the final preparations were complete. Pat, Lee, and Dr. Wilson stood before 3 separate control stations. Each held a key that would need to be turned simultaneously to activate the device. "Confirmation received from the Global Council," Dr. Wilson announced, reading the message on his screen. "Authorization for activation is granted." Pat closed his eyes briefly. "I never thought it would come to this." "None of us did," Lee replied softly. "But we're ready." In his mountain command center, General Robb watched satellite images of the alien fleet. Something strange was happening. Some of the smaller ships were changing position, moving away from Earth. "Sir," his aide said urgently, "we're detecting movement in the Voidborn fleet. Several vessels appear to be retreating. Rob leaned forward, hardly daring to hope. Get me a direct line to Space Defense Station Alpha. In orbit, the Voidborn command ship remained still while chaos erupted among the rest of the fleet. Inside, Draws faced his advisors. The human weapon cannot be real, one insisted. No species would destroy itself and its entire world to prevent conquest. We have analyzed their transmission, another said. The power readings match what our sensors have detected. If this device works as they claim, it will consume everything within the orbit of their gas giant Jupiter. Draws's glowing eyes dimmed, slightly as he considered. In all their conquests across 17 worlds, they had never encountered a species willing to commit such an act. Could we destroy the device before they activate it? He asked. Unknown, his military commander replied. We don't know its exact location, and it appears to be deep underground. Even our most powerful weapons might not reach it in time. Draws made his decision. Begin withdrawal of our landing forces. Move the fleet to a safe distance. On space. Defense Station Alpha. Alex received the incoming transmission from the Voidborn command ship. Draws's dark figure appeared on screen. Commander of Earth Forces, the alien said, his tone different than before. We have analyzed your weapon. You would truly use it, knowing it means the end of your species? Without hesitation, Alex replied firmly. Humans will die free before living as slaves. We have 15 minutes remaining before activation. Your fleet must be beyond Jupiter's orbit by then, or we proceed. For a moment, the alien was silent. Then, we will withdraw. But know this. Your world is now marked as too dangerous for harvest. No species has ever forced us to retreat. You are the first. Alex allowed himself a small smile. Then let that be the lesson you carry to the stars. Earth is not for taking. The transmission ended. Immediately, Alex called Dr. Wilson at the Prometheus facility. They're withdrawing. Hold the activation sequence. Around the world, people watched in disbelief as the alien ships began rising from Earth's surface. The massive vessels in orbit turned away, their engines glowing as they accelerated. In the mountain cave, Captain Riley and her team received the news with stunned silence. Then cheers erupted, echoing off the stone walls. They had fought not just for a noble end, but for victory against impossible odds. At the Prometheus facility, Pat, Lee, and Dr. Wilson carefully powered down the device. The strange, reality-bending glow faded from the sphere. Will we keep it operational? Lee asked quietly. In case they return? Dr. Wilson nodded. Project Prometheus will remain our last line of defense, but let's hope we never need to bring it this close to activation again. As the alien fleet passed beyond Mars, then Jupiter, Earth began the long process of recovery. Cities lay in ruins, millions had died, but humanity had survived, and had sent a message to the stars that would not soon be forgotten. 6 months later, on a rebuilt section of Space Defense Station Alpha, Commander Alex stood before representatives from all nations. A new detection system had been installed, capable of giving early warning should the Voidborn, or any other alien threat, approach again. Today we remember those we lost, Alex said to the assembled leaders. And we look forward to rebuilding our world. But we also must remember the lesson we taught the universe. Earth will never surrender. As he spoke, deep in the hidden facility beneath the mountains, Project Prometheus waited. Humanity's dangerous response, ready if needed, but hopefully never to be used again. The most powerful message sent to the stars had been Earth's willingness to use it, a message that had saved a world.